Am I the a-hole for telling my parents they were deserved to be kicked out of my sister's wedding? This is a throwaway as my brother is on Reddit and I don't want him knowing my real account name. So my 37F, brother Mike 35 male, is a knob. Always has been and always will be. He has been babied to the point of uselessness by our mom and dad, and that's made him an entitled slob. When he was younger, he showed promise playing rugby, which had my mom and dad believing he was gonna be a superstar. The problem was, though, that he never had the work ethic to fully fulfill his potential. However, this meant that he was the golden boy of the family, and he could do wrong in my parents' eyes. He was a bully at school, which they brushed off as other kids making up lies. But he was an even bigger bully at home to our younger sister Kelly 31F. He would constantly prank here, which basically meant he would do anything he could embarrass her, including things like pulling her dress up in front of the whole family at a wedding when she was 15. Mom and dad just said it was siblings being siblings, but the rest of the family were mortified by his behavior. I did try and stick up for my sister, and it worked to a certain extent, but after I went away to uni, there wasn't much I could do as mom and dad just don't listen to anyone. It got so bad that when she was 18, my sister gave up going to her dream university, St Andrews, and instead moved to London to go to the Imperial College London. This was a huge shock to all of us as she had been talking about St Andrews since she started high school at 11. When I asked why, she said that St Andrews was too close to home and she would be expected to go back home more often. But if she went to London, she would only have to go home for Christmas. This broke my heart. After she left, she did exactly that. The only time she was home was Christmas and when I got married. This really annoyed mom and dad as they said she was abandoning the family. I kept my mouth shut and just let them whine occasionally as I didn't want an argument. After graduating from uni, my parents expected her to move back home, but she didn't. She got a job working in southern England and stayed down there. We are from Scotland for reference. 6 years ago, Kelly met a great guy, Jake 30 meters. The day she met him, she called me gushing about him, and I've honestly never heard her speak about anyone the way she does him. I've met him several times when I've gone down to visit Kelly, and he's great. Good looking, funny, great job. His family are lovely, and most importantly, he treats Kelly like she hung the moon. It's very cute. After she met him, she cut down how much she came home even more as she spent the first Christmas with his family, and then the pandemic happened, so she ended up not coming home for 3 years. Her first Christmas home, Mike started his usual crap, trying to be their center of attention. When it didn't work out as well as he wanted, as most of the family were more interested in getting to know Jake, he then tried to prank Kelly. He got a big bowl of water and was going to pour it over her. Jake saw what was happening and stepped in front of Kelly, telling Mike to not even think about it. Side note, Jake is 6'3" and has been doing martial arts since he was 4, so he can be very intimidating when needed. Mom and dad tried to play it off as a harmless prank, but Jake was having none of it. Mike started whining about it just being a prank, and Jake told him that if he pranked Kelly one more time, he would prank Jake by putting his foot up his arse and his fist down his throat. Kelly and Jake left about an hour later, but after that, Mike, Mom and Dad all had an issue with Jake. Kelly hasn't been back home since. That leads us to now, Kelly and Jake are getting married. They sent out invites in February for August. However, they didn't invite Mike. Mom and Dad are obviously incensed by this and had a huge argument with Kelly. They threatened not to go, and Kelly just said no problem, she would get Granddad to walk her down the aisle. I went around to their house on Saturday with my kids. Immediately, my mom started complaining about Kelly and the wedding. I sat and listened for a while before I'd had enough. I asked her what did she actually expect. Her and Dad have allowed Mike to be the golden child and get away with everything. Because of that, he can't keep a relationship. Due to him thinking everyone should do everything for him, he can't hold down a job because every job is beneath him, and he's still living at home with zero prospects in life. The man-child is a bully who I don't trust to be around my children unsupervised. He bullied Kelly for most of her teen years, and her only escape was to move over 400 miles away and never come home. My mom got very quiet and then asked me to leave. A few hours later, my dad called going mad because I'd upset my mom and was taking the side of an ungrateful little girl instead of my parents who gave me everything. This started a huge argument between me and him where I told him he'd been a crap dad to Kelly and didn't deserve to walk her down the aisle. I've just had enough. But now I've got extended family members telling me I've gone too far as my mom is barely speaking to anyone and keeps crying. My granddad said it was about time I told him off, but my grandma is upset by all the arguing. So am I the a-hole for telling my parents that they sucked at parents and deserve to be kicked out of my sister's wedding? Not the a-hole. If they can't stand the truth, they need to hibernate. I vote Grandpa walks her down the aisle regardless of who attends. OP replies, my sister isn't changing her mind. They aren't going to the wedding no matter what. She only invited them as she thought it was the right thing to do in the first place. So Granddad will be walking her no matter what. Next story. Am I the a-hole for embarrassing my mill in front of guests after she implied I don't do real work? I 28 work from home as a software developer. My mill 58 has never understood or respected that. Every time she visits, she makes snide remarks like, oh, must be nice to sit in pajamas all day. Or, back in my day, we actually had to commute to work. This past weekend, we hosted a small barbecue. During dinner, someone asked what I do, and before I could answer, Mill chuckled and said, oh, she watches Netflix and calls it coding. Without skipping a beat, I smiled and said, yeah, and that Netflix paid off your son's student loans and bought this house. Everyone laughed. Mill got really quiet. After they left, my husband said I was being unnecessarily mean and should have just let it slide. Am I the a-hole? Your Mill has been unnecessarily mean for a long time now, and your husband hasn't seen fit to deal with her and get her to treat you with respect. If he doesn't like how you dealt with it, next time he can make sure his mom's behavior doesn't become your problem. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for my husband's birthday dinner after he pranked me in front of everyone? I 28 took my husband 31M out to dinner for his birthday last weekend. I reserved a table at a nice steakhouse he loves and invited a few close friends and family, nothing huge, just 10 people. I paid for everything myself. At dinner, I stood up to give a short toast about how proud I was of him for hitting a milestone at work. I barely got 2 sentences in before he cuts me off and says, you know what would really make this birthday better? If my name finally admitted she's pregnant. I just stared at him. I'm not pregnant. I'm not even trying to be. He knows I'm sensitive about this because I had a miscarriage in March. Everyone at the table gasped, then stared at me for confirmation. My mother-in-law immediately started squealing and tearing up. My boss, who I invited because he helped get my husband promoted, actually stood up to congratulate us. I looked at him in total disbelief and said, what the hell are you doing? He laughed and said it was a prank. Just a joke. I left. I paid the bill via the app from my car, texted everyone that the night was over, and told my husband he could Uber home. When he did get back, he called me humorless, said I humiliated him on his birthday, and now even his family is saying I was cold to him over a harmless joke. He says I embarrassed him by walking out and that I made everyone uncomfortable. I think he humiliated me first. Am I the a-hole? I am deeply sorry for your miscarriage, my wife, and I have had several. The impact on her has been so heartbreaking. For what it's worth, anyone who asks about that night, please consider letting them know about your loss and how hurtful that comment was. Wow, not the a-hole, and I don't see how you can continue to stay married to a man who would do this to you so soon after a miscarriage. This is just absolutely awful. What did he think was going to be funny about it? Do your other guests think it was funny? TBH, this would have me questioning if he is harboring some serious issues and / or resentment about the miscarriage or lack of children thus far. And quite frankly, I wouldn't want to deal with someone who, rather than deal with their emotions, makes spiteful jokes to hurt you and make himself feel better. Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling the ambulance for my coworker even though I know she was kind of faking it? I 28 am working in an English language center in a Southeast Asian country. There's a female coworker in her 20s here who often touches her head and wobbles like she was about to faint, and she would lie down on the couch, letting people fan her bring water and food to her. We take midday naps here, so whenever she does this, everyone's lunch and nap time is ruined, especially the ones who keep caring for her. This would happen at least twice a month, so over the last 5 or 6 months, I've seen a few incidents when we work the same shift. One time she even asked me to order ice cream for her. Info: it's a big, crowded city, so you can just walk to the ice cream shop nearby to grab one for $1. Didn't pay me back, but that's beside the point. This Monday, she did it again, and this time she asked a girl to order her an iced drink, a sandwich. A group of co-workers fanned her, did the whole caring thing like she's a sick child. I stood up from my chair, walked towards her, asked if she was okay. Then I went to the men's washroom, dialed for an ambulance, and went back to my seat. After 20 minutes, we heard the siren. My phone rang again, and I stood up and told her servants to help her to the ambulance. Her face changed, that face. When someone knows they F-ed up. Other girls asked if I called. I said yeah. It seems more severe this time. It's best for her to go. The ambulance is here already. You'll have to pay for it regardless. The ambulance fee is about 1 to 2 days worth of her salary, $50. Other coworkers actually agreed and helped her get on the ambulance. Now that I think of it, no one called an ambulance for her once. Ever since that incident, she stopped interacting with me beyond highs and hellos. Thursday now, not a word to me. Am I the a-hole for this? I had someone I was supervising act like they were having a heart attack. I was pretty confident their plan was to skip the year and head home as they didn't want to work. Unfortunately for them, there is policy that does not allow someone having a heart attack to drive, so they had to go through with the expensive fake heart attack. Next story. Am I the a-hole for moving out of my dad's house because his girlfriend and her kid were moving in? I 18 am but will be 19 in a month. Moved out of my dad's house last month. It wasn't planned long term. It actually went against what my dad and I had talked about. But I moved out because he was moving in his girlfriend and her kid. And I don't like his girlfriend. Dad raised me on his own. He and my mom broke up when I was 5 months old, and she stopped being in my life. My dad first met his girlfriend when I was 6. They dated on and off for the last 12 years. They never lived together before, and they were never together for this long either, 2 years. But over the years, she pissed me off a lot and made me wish he'd settled down with someone else. This isn't a thing of me not liking anyone Dad dated. He was with someone else when I was 14, and I liked her a lot. This is more about this specific girlfriend than me not wanting Dad with anyone. I first started to dislike her when I was 8, and she told me she was going to take me to see my mom. She got all riled up because Dad and I had seen Mom a few days before, and my mom went up to Dad to yell at him for trying to get child support out of her. She ignored me completely and told Dad she didn't want her past mistakes to ruin her future. I was saying how I never wanted to see Mom again, and so Dad's girlfriend decided she'd take me to see her. My dad shut that down hard. His girlfriend said my mom needed to confront that I'm her kid. It felt like Dad's girlfriend didn't care what I wanted or how that would hurt me, and even though she later apologized, it felt forced and like she was like, fine, whatever, sorry. But it made me see her differently. She and Dad broke up not so long after that. She still brings up Mom more than I would like when she and my dad are together. I resist the urge to tell her to shut the hell up. Half the time I expect her to go behind our backs and try to get Mom involved. When I was like 10 or 11, she got kicked out of the coding classes I was taking and almost had the cops called. Dad had asked her to pick me up. She needed her ID, but she forgot it, so the class organizer couldn't let her take me, and instead of calling Dad, she started a fight about it and started screaming for me to grab my stuff and go. The organizer said even if I wanted to go with her, she needed ID before she could let me go. They were just about to call the cops when she said she'd call Dad, and then he picked me up instead. It was late when he came, and she was angry for days after that. I was so embarrassed, and some of the kids made fun of me when it was going down. She didn't care, and I remember her rolling her eyes when I said she was the reason the kids were making fun of me. Another thing that has really pissed me off about her, and this is a reoccurring issue, is when she sees me on the phone and snaps her fingers in my face. This would happen when I was on the phone when she came over. I was normally talking to family. Either my great-grandma, who was in a nursing home, she died 8 months ago, or out-of-state family. She expected me to end any call and pay attention to her when she came over. She didn't like that I'd be busy talking to family. If Dad was there, he'd say to leave me be, but she did it so many times. She'd even come and track me down in my bedroom and start snapping her fingers in my face. There's other stuff that has built up over time, and most of it is more like petty stuff. But I really don't like her anymore. The last time my dad and her broke up, she got pregnant with another guy's kid. When her and Dad got back together, they decided to try and make it work. I was hoping they wouldn't. I know that might sound bad, but I take so many other people over her. But Dad loves her. And when he told me they were moving in last month, I told him I'd find somewhere else to live. Dad told me I didn't have to, and in the 2 days it took me to figure something out, he tried to stop me. He told me I didn't need to, and I wasn't going to be kicked out. They were just coming to live with us. I told him I couldn't live with his girlfriend, and I wasn't going to force myself to. I told him I wasn't stopping him from moving them in, but I was moving myself out before that happened. Things between me and Dad have been tense since I moved out. His girlfriend's offended that I moved out because they were moving in, and she tried to give me a piece of her mind or whatever. I ignored her. She told me I better be there nearly every day to make up for it, but I haven't been to Dad's house once. I made plans to do stuff with him, but any family dinner invites I don't accept. Dad told me it was extreme to move out when I had always planned to stay at least another 2 years. I told him I could not accept her being a part of my household, and it was better I moved out when I did than disrespecting her like I knew I would. His girlfriend accused me of trying to break them up and ruin their relationship. She even called me moving out a stunt. I ended up blocking her number, but I hear her when Dad calls. She's apparently going to blame me if her kids' feelings get hurt in all of this. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You sound like a very intelligent young man. You know your feelings and boundaries. You also know yourself well enough to know there will not be respect given when it's not being received. Good for you. You're doing the right thing. Not the a-hole, but curiosity. Was she also expecting you to help out with the kid, and that's why she wanted you there every day? Also, if the kid is hurt by this, that's her fault for telling him. Op moved out because that's what grown-ups do is a perfectly fine explanation. So if she says it's because of the kid when it's because of her. Geez, Opie replies. She never said anything about me helping with the kid. It was more like I better be there to give them attention, and so my dad isn't upset. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.